next up is Delyon of DGR Radiance. And I am looking forward to his presentation, and you will be too, because he has not only some comments about what is just heard, but his technology has applications across the board, and I'm excited for him to be able to share. Delyon, please step up to the stage and welcome. Thank you so much.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I didn't want to interfere with some of the questions, but I'm very enthused about what I'm hearing, especially in Ghana, since we've been in Ghana for a number of years now. So this is wonderful news for me. So I'll give a brief intro. I don't know if my partner that I'll be sharing the panel with is available today, but my name is Delyon Lowe. I'm a data scientist, quantum engineer / enthusiast. I'm a co-founder of founder of DG Radiance, co-founder of DGP and GTV Holdings. Small business. I love small business. I love the passion, the entrepreneurship that comes with small businesses. And so what I want to talk about, we at DGR, we just launched our health and life science division. But we like to stay on the cutting edge of technology. One of the things that we've pushed a lot is the integration between working from the US and Ghana, etc. I was very enthused by what I've heard here today. I think his name was Joe's like, hey, why don't you, I accept your challenge, by the way, and some of us have been in Africa for some time now. We are building infrastructure, and to your point, manufacturing needs to come back, or needs to be more developed in Africa, because you have a lot of raw materials. That is true, and I think with a bit of work, I think we should be able to bridge that gap. So we accept your challenge, and thank you for presenting it. I see my hand is still raised. Let me remove that. So what are one of the technologies out of the 25 that we have? I want to talk about two. The one that's more prevalent to agriculture. We try to bridge the digital divide wherever we go, and one of the things that we do is we find ways to bring technology, not just technology, but internet access to farmers wherever you are in your rural areas, whether it's up in the mountains or wherever you are. We want to be able to bridge that digital divide. So what we were able to do in our research and development a few years back, we developed what is called the solar energy node. I know you've had versions of a solar pole before, and then when dust gets in them, they don't work anymore, and a lot of country have this terrible experience of buying very cheap material. What we done differently, we build it differently. We build it with Africa in mind. We build it with what you have, what your resources are, and what technology we can, to bridge that gap. One of the relationship and why I have a house and land in Ghana. We're building a factory over in Ghana to develop these solar energy nodes. But the unique thing about them, the key quality of them, is they're as tall as a lamppost, the wooden post that you have over there, except they work with heat, not direct sunlight, but with heat. And Africa's got plenty of heat. So the way they work, they function as a device that absorbs the heat and transform it into energy. So we built it with the same stuff that your microwave would built with, and the materials, the raw materials is aluminum, and you guys have plenty of that too. So the whole idea, the whole concept behind the technology is we build these solar nodes, and because they're heat, they store a battery backup. Each node has its own battery backup that's inside of it, and the way they function is, as long as you have heat, you can power LED lights, you can power Wi-Fi connectivity. And this is how we bridge the digital divide in most communities that we work in, and some of the ones that we have, that we're experimenting in currently. We will build these poles, and every mile you put down a pole with a section for overlapping. And within these poles, we can push over 2.5 gigabytes of connectivity across from pole to pole. So, a lot of people say, hey, it's not worth it to run fiber or copper. It's going to cost us million. And these small communities, they're farming communities. They don't have the funding. They won't have it until XYZ amount of years. We understand that. And what we did was, with these poles, they last for about 15 to 30 years. Most of them last 15 years. So you put a pole down, that pole now it functions as an LED light, and it functions as a Wi-Fi tower. And that Wi-Fi tower broadcasts in a mile radius. And every pole broadcasts to the next pole, which also functions as a tower. So now you have this mile to mile to mile connectivity. And for every community, we can connect to any community anywhere by installing these poles every mile. And like I said, they last for a very long time, warranty guaranteed. And we bring LED lights, which is now super cheap. And we bring Wi-Fi connectivity. I've seen some people do some very interesting things with them. Like, there's a charging station that at a train station, we put one there where people would charge their phones using the LED pole, and we kind of did that as an exercise to show off what the technology can do. That's one. The other tech that we have is, we found a better way to enhance the prostate cancer. And that's what Keith was talking about earlier. And I send him our slide deck. Instead of, I call it spray and pray, where they will poke you with all these needles and they're trying to figure out where the cancer is located. We've managed to merge different technology together, where using AI and semi-robotics, we're able to identify specifically. First, we render it in 3D, so you can watch it, see it, and then we identify the cancer-infected area, and we don't just hit you with chemo. We don't even use chemo, because chemo will damage that entire process. Our goal is to make sure that you can still function as a man in every capacity after you finish one of our surgery. We pinpoint the specific cancer cells, and we isolate them, and we use a more focused heat therapy to remove that, burn it out essentially, but without overheating your prostate. I am not the expert. I do have a couple of doctors on there. I can give you the bare limits, but that's something I'd love to talk more with the professionals, etc., to meet my team in there, so we can put our heads together and see what we can do. That's one. And the other technology that we have, well, it's not really anything major or innovative. It's an e-learning platform, where one of the things we're doing in Ghana is, we're building an offshore team where we would train them up with the same platform that we use to train government agency on this side of the fence. We would train them up over there, and then we will bring our government contracts and partner up with our local team, so we can bring jobs and funding into the country. And that's still in its early stage. Everybody's mostly going to training currently, but those are some of the things that we're doing. We do have one of the other technologies that we have that we're working on in Nigeria is, there's a community, or different communities, where they still don't have an ID, even though they are citizens. So we have this identity management system, and what it does, even if you can't, you don't have the capacity to earn or obtain an ID, you would go in front of our kiosks, and it will scan you. It will take a retina scan. It will take your fingerprint scan, and it will create you an ID, a state issue ID. You just have to say your name, and or type it in either way, or have someone, you know, assist you. But most of the times you go in front of it, you say your name, it will identify who you are, and it will create you an ID. That way, that if you can be bankable, you can have that and do more things, etc. And that is a baby project that we're working on in Nigeria. But those are just some of the area. And the reason why I brought that up, in a lot of the agriculture communities that we're working with, and some of the agriculture partners like UX Farm, etc., they use our blockchain platform to provide farmers with better data, and also to find people to buy their produce. So that's one of our partner. We have a platform that we utilize, like, okay, how can we get you better information on seeds? And then when you do create a lot of produce, how can we find you the best quality for your products that you're producing? So we find you buyers. The buyers come in, they, you know, you guys negotiate your price, etc. And that way, you know, farmers always have access to, for somebody to buy their products when it's produced. But those are just tip of the iceberg on most of that stuff. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll take any questions you have.
Hey, Delyon, I have a question for you. This is Mel. How
Sure.
do you explain to a young Black kid in Harlem about data and agriculture? How do you make that tell a simple story on how to connect the two? Because everybody thinks you get a tractor, go out and cut and pull up your corn and your soybeans. But when you present an opportunity to them about the future and job opportunities, what type of story would you tell that 14-year-old kid on the corner about how data and he can impact agriculture? It's a stretch. I'm messing with you, but I want to hear what you got.
No. I think it's a good question. It produces a great way for me to tell a story. My 14-year-old niece is a pain in my neck, Gen Zs. But anyways, different breed of animals. So I would pick a story that I would tell her, because I'm always trying to encourage her to get into business. So the way I would approach it, I would say, first of all, the traditional tractor, you don't even have to run it. Okay, you're always on your tablet every day. You probably know more stuff than me, and stuff you're not supposed to see, but that's a whole other story. So here's what we can do differently. This is how data can help you. First, you have to understand that the tractor of today and the tractor of the past is two different things. You no longer have to sacrifice, a full 8-hour day on your farm. This is what your topsoil is. Farmers probably have a better understanding. I mean, she's on the farm, she could understand that. So, and here's what your tractor battery can give you. And if you, there's two ways you can do this. One, you can set the tractor to do a specific task. And from that task, it can tell you, data can tell you how it will perform, how much, let's say rice, how much rice it can collect before you need to get back to the machine. But more importantly, it can tell you when you need to change, plant something different on your soil, because if you continue to plant the same thing, it erodes that soil. Data can help you understand when you need to change whatever you're farming, when you need to service your equipment, and which is the best market to sell your equipment on. I mean, not just your equipment, what your produce. Where's the best market to sell your produce on? How to engage seller. If you know nothing about the market, AI and data will present you with the best options. All you have to do is click here, and click here. How did I do?
That was powerful. That was powerful. Because if the innovation doesn't come into play until we get those Gen Zs understanding how they can capitalize on a sector. And unfortunately,
you have to make farming sexy. That's
we
essential.
don't
And
talk
if you
about
bring a
farming
tablet into play, they're sold.
Right. And in our communities, we don't talk farming. So the innovation is not even a discussion. So that's why I was asking that question. We have to begin to talk to the people who are not on farms about the possibilities and engagement with farming. Okay, we've got a question.
Alabisi. Please,
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, Dylan. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'll make it quick. So I know we know that when it comes to Africa, data gaps and data recording is a big issue. So my question for you is, do you have a registry that you're working on and that you can actually make public? For example, for a farmer who wants to sell products, how can other people know that these farmers exist, and a registry for what they do and what's available, please?
Great question. So that would come back to UX Farm, our partner. We developed on the back end, we developed the cloud platform, and it's a blockchain platform so we can protect their data. But more importantly, we protect the people who are buying the produce. And somebody mentioned China is in Africa. Let me just tell you one thing, that a story that the data told us. China will come in and buy massive amounts of cassavas. They would buy cassavas, they would buy corn. And for one of the ones that blew my mind, and I tracked it all the way to London, is they will buy coconut from Africa for literally pennies on the dollar, ship it out in these massive containers. And I'll get back to your question. Just let me just finish this, right? They would shave off the green or the yellow parts, make it into this, you ever see one of those coconut person on the side of the street? I buy it from all the time. They would shave off the green. It will give it kind of like a hectagon shape, make it look really nice. So they would do that, wrap it in these a Chinese plastic wrapping, and then sell it globally. And so one of the things we did with our data, we tagged these coconut with these plastic, the same thing people put on clothes to see where it goes. And we followed it all the way to Wessex, London, inside a market, an Asian market. And the coconuts from Africa was on the shelf in London selling for £5. I was outraged. I was like, hold up now, this can't be right. That's my coconut. Over exaggeration. But they were selling them for £5, and she had like 3 left, and she was telling me that she had 200 that week. Multiply that by £5 and tell me what the local people can't do with that. So we really need to bring manufacturing back. But coming back to your question, we do have a repository, but it's country based. Every country has the right to their own data, because we also teach them how to monetize that data. If you produce exceptional amount of corn, and your corn is, we have this guy in Africa, you tell him what type of corn you want and he knows how to produce that, because he's been with us for some time now, and they're great corn farmers, but then they've mastered their craft with data, and they took the time to really learn, okay, if we want to produce more of this, we need this type of soil, we need these types of seeds, etc. But every country owns their own repository. And then the beautiful thing about that, all the farmers are on there, and we tell you who the farmer is, where his farm is located, and when he's ready to come to market. And some of the exceptional things that we find is that if someone knows that you're producing something that they want, they're willing to pay you now for stuff that you have not produced yet. And whether you have a good sale or a bad harvest, all you can do is make that up in the next harvest cycle. And a lot of our buyers are very comfortable with that. So to answer your question, it's country focused. So if UX Farm comes work with your community, but we have the platform is for everybody within the country. So you can see what other farmers are doing better, and it's kind of like a lessons learned, because the way we see it, farming communities are more connected than normal communities. They're very in tune with what each other's producing, and they're very willing to help and learn and say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what I do to get more out of this particular area, etc. So it's a very knit community, but the data belongs to the people of a specific country. And what we don't do is we don't mix different countries. And because cloud is so cheap, every country has its own cloud, and we have our own platform where we can provide that data. And tie into the way we bring Wi-Fi to farmers, one of the big things we do, we train the next generation of farmers on how to use the tablets, how to use all the stuff that their parent can use. And a lot of times, those parents will get their children to interact with us and interact with a platform. But most farmers these days are pretty savvy. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you. I hope that information is on your website and accessible, even country
That
based.
I will have to get you in contact with UX Farm. They handle that entire division. On our website, you'll find all of our cool IT stuff that is probably not what you're looking for, like infrastructure, etc. But
Yeah,
definitely
Delyon,
get you in contact with our team, and it's country specific. I'll have to know where you are, so I'll better know if who your local team will be if we're there. We're not everywhere yet.
Delyon, do
That's
you
good.
have a slide or two that could be shared, or that you want to close out presenting the visual of this? And then with your response, I want to go to Kotso, our new best friend in South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Thank you again. Delyon, I have a very different view, my brother. And I'm just putting this out there to assist. We need to treat Africa as one, not as 54 countries. You see, the coconut you're talking about, we can have coconut sold in one currency, in an African currency, and we sell it at 10 pounds because it's our coconut, like yours. And we brand it, we package it, we advertise it in such a way that it's written made in Africa. So when you enjoy it in the UK, in Switzerland, it's written made in Africa. You see, we live with a lot of Caucasians in our country. We've blended. They've done that with the avocados. They've done that with the pawpaws, the bananas. So you know when you are having a coconut or a banana in Switzerland, it's written from South Africa. And there's a value attached to it. You see, the Hebrew and the Arabs, the reason why they are so successful, Delyon, is that they work together as one community. Self-reliance. I mean, that's why they can bomb the Palestinians the whole day and we can't say anything because they've got they've got backing from their big brothers where you guys live, unfortunately. So ultimately, the only way we can free ourselves and free our minds is by seeing Africa is one. There's no 54 countries. It's the Caucasians who came and told us, no, there's 54 countries and different languages. We are one. Your data will show you that your DNA is very closely linked to mine, as much as you are as far away as you are right now, Delyon. So we must shift how we think and how we treat Africa. And us as Africans, I always say, you guys are not African Americans. You are Africans in America. And we refer you as that because you are not Americans at all. You are one with us. Bring the technology here, Delyon. Bring the infrastructure. We have young, highly intelligent Africans who can quadruple what you are doing right now. We have the resources. Let's work together truthfully, not in a superficial way. I'm not saying you are presenting a superficial, data-driven slides. However, it's not quantitative. I can't touch it. I can't live it. A woman in Cote d'Ivoire doing cocoa can't talk to you because she doesn't understand you. But I'm saying to you from today when you are flying in, stop saying I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to South Africa. Say I'm going home. That's it. That's my input.
Your input is culturizing. It's literally creating a new culture. And so I want to congratulate you because made in Africa, wow. Imagine labeling things made in Africa. There's no question about how valuable that is. That's a brand. And if anybody can talk to you about branding, it's Timothy Maurice Webster. And I want to make sure that everyone has had a chance to finish talking to Delyon with questions. Delyon, we do want to see 1 or 2 page visual, especially of the polls. You have it now?
Oh yeah, I had them ready, but
Please,
the fault was mine. I want to start with the last question though, the farming, because someone said they wanted to see that. So I want to start with that to go through what that looks like. And then I'll go backwards. I'll go from the UX farm and then I'll go to, but you know what? I'll start with the polls. Let me start with the polls. Give me 1 second.
and the reason why I was fascinated about that is because when I think about mining, and I also think about I was, maybe crime, addressing crime as we've dealt with here in DC, how this can be applicable. Broadband, I'm not sure if that's an issue. You can, speak to that. But yes, let's go through that. We have about 6 minutes.
I'll try to be quick. So this is what the
Okay.
pole look like. The entire pole is the solar panel, and the battery backup is within inside it. And it can run LED lights for 30 years flat. You don't have to do anything with it. Just install it and leave it there. And there's an app where you can use to track it most of the times to let you know, like, hey, because of snowy conditions, your batteries is it's going to take a longer while to charge. But for the most part, your pole is just install it and then it does it rest. It can run cameras. This is over here by the docks where people are using it as a bit of a charging station. And this is one where the coastal community is using it as a Wi-Fi tower. This is out in California, by the way. But one of the cool thing about the system is, and we'll get back to that. I just want to walk you guys through the slide of how it functions. We go backwards and forward. We can go all the way back to 3G because we realized 3.5 and 4G is very prevalent in Africa. And so we're able to go back all the way back to 3.5. And then with our convertible, this device you're seeing right here, we can convert 3.5 to 4. And so if you ever have to do like an emergency, we work with FEMA. So if you ever, like if there's an emergency and you need lights and connectivity for whatever reason immediately, these poles only take about 2 to 3 hours to install, and they come pre-ready. So you install them and they're ready to go. The only thing, the battery backup might need some charging, but that's it. So this is what I was talking about, the 2.5. So your MTM will say, hey, I'm not going to go to that community. We say, that's fine. We'll go from your tower to our pole, and then from our pole to the next pole to the next pole until we get to wherever your home is located, etc. And these are just all of the excuses we've ever heard. We have devices to do all the conversion. They don't need to pay for anything. And one of the things that we were trying to do in Ghana is, okay, if we go into a community where you're not, you're going to have to give something back to that community, whether it's a profit sharing for the amount of people that now sign up for your network, or if you're advertising to the people, the mayor or the community, you have to give something back because now we bring you into a community you were not before. That means that's more paying customers for you, and all we ask from you is that you put back something into the community, maybe 5 or 10%. Normally, we don't get in the middle of the negotiation. We just bring the people at the table, and they can decide how they want to negotiate that. And these are just some of the ways in the US. I watched somebody use they asked us for a very tall pole, and they were charging up EV bikes with it. And it was kind of like a small business that he did, because before he used to have to pay Pepco. Now he just charges up a pole, plugs it in, and he charges all of his EV bike. And that's scooters, not bikes, scooters. And we manufacture them right here in the US. Of course, like I said, we're building a manufacturing out in Ghana to try to manufacture them there. And one of our small project, what we did here was we remove a major telco, and by law, I can't say which telco, but we removed them from our community because we provided more bandwidth. This was a very isolated community. This is 3 towers, by the way, and the green spectrum that you see is that mile radius and the interception. And if you see outside of the red line, these green areas, we were able to provide even service beyond outside of the actual limit because of how powerful it is. And they were paying, I think, was $45 for 50 50 to 25 meg up. And this is like way down on the California where it's very close to Mexico. So they were paying like 20, like they were getting 20 megs up and 30 megs down. And we came in and we provided them with 100 meg up and 100 meg down. Because remember, the pole is inside your community, the Wi-Fi is in your neighborhood, because now we can do that. And as you see over here, a major telco came in and they were providing voice over IP, and now they mounted their equipment in our pole because it was a lot cheaper to do that. And I might have hinted at the mayor that technically they would be paying like 25 bucks a month for that electricity. There's no reason you can't charge for this, because technically that pole is yours and in your community. So you should definitely charge them. This is a Navajo. We work with a Native American out in Arizona. Everything you see here, we provide them with all the lights, all the connectivity, cover their entire neighborhood. And the mayor, the chief, controls everything. He doesn't have to go outside to receive anything from anyone. So it's kind of like we created his own network, and they're connected to a satellite. Now that Elon Musk has Starlink, it makes it even easier, maybe even cheaper. We were just showing you one of the cool things we do. We don't go and bring in our engineer from America to come over to Africa. No, we train you. Workforce development is a part of all of our technology. We come into the community, we train you to do the work yourself. And then, if you don't mind sharing some photo of how you work, how you use our tech to do it yourself. It's a two-man job, and anybody can set one up. And this is people we train in the community to do the work. So we bring local, make you the professional, and then you can go and do that job in other areas if you want to. But we certify you, so you do the work. Our people just spectate, and we provide you training. So we're not coming to your community and we're bringing in engineers. We're bringing in trainers so we can train you to be your own engineer. And this is just some other image of parks and other places people have it. Someone said, hey, I want my own camera. I don't want the round camera. We put their camera on, but their camera doesn't have a wireless version to it. So he still wanted it up on his pole. So we got him his own pole with his own camera, but his camera doesn't work because his camera was designed to work with a plug-in. So converting it was not possible. And this just demonstrates how the battery backup sits inside the frame, inside the pole. So that's one. Technology. Any questions about that before I stop sharing? Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
No, this is awesome. Even seeing the visual really helps. And I'd love to collaborate on the mentoring and building the workforce locally from the grassroots. That's a great. So let us know how to connect or reach out, please.
100%. I encourage people. We're not colonizers. We're not here to bring our people in, and then when we leave, you don't have any services. We're here to educate and exchange, and we try to make it as fair as possible, because Africa's got everything it needs. We just need to partner up and get stuff done. So give me 1 second here. I want to switch to the prostate cancer and what we do differently. So bear with me here for 1 second. Let me know when you can all see my screen. So traditionally, what people do is with prostate, for those of you, so prostate has been in my family forever. So I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get it at some point. So this is why why I got into this whole prostate cancer. I tend to focus on technology that impacts us the most. So diabetes, prostate cancer, that's where I put my focus, because that's kind of what's happening to a lot of our generation back to back. Traditionally, they will poke you with all these needles trying to look for the cancer. They're trying to find it. We found a way using our technology, using mammogram and imaging, to isolate, to track your prostate, do a mammogram image mapping of it. And let me switch to that. So we track it, we put it into 3D, and then we look, the AI identify all those spots, all those areas. So traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I mean right now in the United States, what you have is the image you're seeing on your left, where they poke you until they hope that they find the cancer. And when they find it, they treat your entire prostate. What we're trying to say is, listen, in other cancer research, you don't stick people with needles. I know we don't care about our men that much, but we should be able to do a better job at this. And what we've done and put our resources into is how do we focus in on just the cancer, so we're not poking your prostate, we're not flooding your system with radiation. It's isolated, and when we're finished, you are fully good to go. You're still functional. You can still do all the other stuff that you could have done before this. And we're FDA approved, so it's not just I'm not talking the talk. We're already FDA approved. So that means we've went through our rigorous platform and deal with all the doubts. And of course, we have a number of clinical trials now. We're in 10 different countries globally. But the whole idea behind this is a more focused precision when it comes to prostate, because prostate is a lot more, I find, in our community than any other community, and we have not innovated in the prostate arena for too long. And so as a data scientist, we tend to pay attention to those things. The system is very simple. And here's one of the key things. We don't get you to buy the system. You can if you want to. We do like a profit sharing. We deliver the system to you. We train you how to use it. And then the clients pay for it. This is covered by Medicaid and Medicare in the US. It's a little different. We're in India. We're licensed to operate in India. In India, it's per use. So you don't have to worry about any overly expensive cost. We deliver, we profit share, and that's how we partner with people. By all means, you can buy your device. The devices are not that expensive. We're actually trying to make them cheaper. We can make them cheaper, but we prefer not to. We prefer to have that made in the USA brand. But like my friend mentioned, maybe what we need to have is a made in Africa brand. So that might be something on my hit list. Keith, I might need your funding resource to help with that, but that's another conversation for another day. Just to go through it, we kind of design a certain things. One of the things that we noticed that during a prostate, sometimes the patient would move because it can get a bit painful, and then you have to come out, pull the needle out, readjust, and then stab you again. It's not that painful. I'm over exaggerating here. Don't mind me. I don't want to say that, men is being stabbed. But this flexible arm helps make it easier when the patients move to simply readjust. So the needle is always very focused. We have a 93% success rate. And this is kind of just the image map of how we can really track the prostate, identify the pain areas, and really get to it. But I don't want to, this is a very long slide. This is kind of how the imaging technology worked from the moment the AI identify your prostate, etc. And I guess I'll skip to, I'm not much of a salesperson, so how we compare across the market here in the US. And like I said, we do have the highest success rate. We have been offered to be bought out by a certain company who I can't say because we're under NDA. And when I tell them we're not for sale, they weren't very happy about that, but that's all right. 50 hospitals, 10 countries, 3 continents, and we are still pumping. And I will take any questions you have about that one.
So when's the IPO?
We were originally aiming for 2028, but recently we found a number of investors and we decided we'll stay private for a bit longer. I don't like any of the IPO people. Most of them try to. One of the things that I've noticed, I have my own VC. I'm a VC partner. And I'm trying to change the VC industry because one of the things that happen when you IPO, they jack the price up so much that the average everyday person cannot buy any equity in the company. And one of the things we're trying to do is I'm not developing black tech so that black tech can't afford it. That makes no sense to me. So we don't do the traditional IPO route. We want to go, when we finally IPO, we want to make sure that it's cheap enough that you can buy shares on a regular salary, because I know we're going to grow. And that has been very difficult to convince the people out of their classical mindset. We've gotten a lot of no, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure we add a 100x or a 10x on top of the cost, and that's not what I want to do. And sometimes when that happens, when you can't agree with your private equity firm or your major investors, you're going to have to just take 2 steps back and do some more bootstrapping. So that's what we're doing. I refuse to budge on that. Any other questions?
Hey, Delyon, were you going to talk about IP and the patent of your device?
Oh, everything is we one of the big things, everything you see, for me anyways, I like to own stuff. So either we own majority share or we own enough shares that we can definitely put this in different places. All of the IP is owned by the companies individual, and we didn't do the traditional let's put our patent out there so you can go copy paste it. No, we do we protect our information differently. That's all I can say about that. But it's all owned in-house, and we do have other limited partners, but no major partner except us for now. I hope that was able to answer that question.
Okay.
Any other
Delyon,
questions? Yes, sir.
How's it, brother?
We're out of time. I do apologize. Yeah, I'm finished. Anything else, please?
Oh,
I'll
no.
take any questions you guys send over.
Nkosi, go ahead.
Yes,
Go
I'd
ahead.
like to know how can I go about to get those cameras and Wi-Fi equipment to be shipped to South Africa?
Definitely reach out to me. Keith Moore put his email in there. That's one way. Somebody posted my direct email also in the chat. That's how you can reach me directly. So just hit me up an email, or let's have a discovery conversation of what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do. That way we can make it super easy. And of course, we're going to have to talk to Shaq to make sure that when we ship it, you don't have to pay a lot of cost to get it out of customs. So you see how things tie in very nicely here. So 100%. Just reach out,
Okay,
let me
thank you.
know, and we can have a conversation around it.